Y'all so goofy.
You know what? We're just going to get into this. Alrighty. Welcome back to the Ogre in the Ass podcast. This is The Swamp. Today we have Sidney Brown with us and Grace Wallace. Good. Thank you guys so much for coming on to the podcast. We really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Of course. My pleasure.
Y'all so damn giggly.
Sorry.
I know. We can already tell this is going to be a train wreck. We're just really going to have to pick this up and go
rude.
with it. We're not going to tell the truth here, I guess. So
I know, right?
All right. So today we're talking about dating advice. And I can already tell, kind of going over some of the prompts with you guys, that you were really excited to talk about this. So really hold nothing back. Say what you got to say. And
Just
Eric and I
planning
are,
on it.
yeah.
Here we go.
Okay. So guys, we're going to get straight into this then. So the first prompt is, do people actually use dating apps to find love or just to build their self-esteem?
Well, let me just tell you of a recent experience. So I was engaged to this guy, right, for like 2 months.
Just jumping
Okay.
right in, aren't you?
I am. Okay, so we were engaged, and then it turns out that he had Tinder on his phone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no.
So I feel like a lot of the time, like, these people either just, like, want to hook up, or, like, I know of, like, 2 stories where it's actually worked out. So I just think, like, they use it for hookups or to cheat on their girlfriends or fiancés, you know.
Yep, there it is.
Just waiting for that time.
Yeah.
She's trying to swing.
Yeah.
Thinking about him.
I'm ready to fight. I
Sorry.
chose violence this morning.
Clenched fist.
No, I agree. I think that the horror stories from dating apps, I hear a lot more of them as opposed to the successes. My sister met her husband on Tinder. They met at the end of August. We're engaged in September and married in December, and they are living a happy marriage, and I love them. But, like, that's just one to the thousands of stories I know
Several
of people
thousand.
who've had terrible experiences
Also,
on dating
the
apps.
amount of people that get murdered for meeting up with people on dating apps,
Wait,
let me just tell you.
What?
Yeah.
Is that a real thing?
Listen to the
there's
Crime
a-
Junkie podcast. That's a good one.
Oh, are you serious?
Lots of
Like-
murders, yes.
Oh my gosh.
Like Ted Bundy?
No.
What?
I don't think Ted Bundy
Ted
had
Bundy-
Tinder.
I know, but like he would always date though basic females, right? Wasn't that his thing? He'd go
No,
around.
I'm not going to insult the people he dated because obviously it didn't go very well.
Yeah, no, it did. But I'm just saying though, like he did the same thing.
I
That's
actually
kind
have
of
a
crazy.
funny story about that.
What?
Yeah,
Go
but
ahead.
like if Ted Bundy was actually Zac Efron, he could kill me. I'd be okay.
That's fair. That's fair.
You guys know that movie The Vow? That was
Yeah.
made
Yeah.
with, so someone, when that movie came out, I saw, because it just reminded me what you said about Ted Bundy. Someone said, if I woke up in a hospital and Channing Tatum was standing over me telling me he's my husband, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah, I'd totally be like, okay, let's go make some babies. I'm ready.
I believe you, Tatum. I'm more like Tate Yum.
I hated that. No, I hated that. You don't even get a pity laugh from me.
That's all.
Wait. So back to the murder thing. That's a legitimate thing. For
Yeah,
Tinder.
like people will meet up with people and kill them. Like, yeah.
Wow.
That's
I
why
didn't
if
even
you
know.
ever gonna meet someone on a dating app, you go with a group or like you go in a public place because
Yeah.
then you feel safer. They could still kill you, but like people wouldn't know.
Yeah.
You guys are also like above average size males,
Yeah.
and so us as small females have
I am not
more of that to
small. I
worry
am
about.
above the average also.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
I can't trust
Are
people
you
One
going to
of-
say I'm not small, Thomas? Is that what's about to come out?
No,
of your
I'm not
mouth
talking
right
about you at
now?
all. Again, there's a self-centered part of you. But,
Or like
She's
self-made.
No,
kind of
the-
a
Because of
biatch.
thickness. You know?
not trying to be mean, she's a bit of a bitch.
Hey,
Love her though.
it's okay. I still love you. Not you though.
No,
That's
no one
okay.
loves him.
That's okay. I can deal with it. So getting into that, so do you guys have any personal horror stories from Tinder or any other dating apps?
I was on Tinder for a grand total of 3 days after I graduated high school, and that was it. And that's the only time I've ever used a dating app. But in that time span, there were about 5 guys that I ended up matching with that have continued to follow me throughout the rest of my life and reach out to me even if I'm like in a relationship. It used to happen a lot more often. Ever since I got married, it hasn't happened as much because they see that ring on my finger. But
They see that rock.
yeah, but before it would happen quite a bit.
Oh, that's a damn good run.
Yeah, he did good.
Her man's got money, Eric. Her man's got money.
What's he do?
He was a car salesman. He recently changed up his career path a little bit, but
Okay. Does he want like an extra something on the side? I'm just saying.
I don't know. Let me ask.
He doesn't sell drugs. I'm kidding.
Let's hope so.
Man.
If he does, I don't know about it.
What about you, Sid? Any horror stories?
No, I have made a vow to myself to never download a dating app, but instead I have a creepy story from a guy on Facebook. So,
Let's hear it.
So I go to Utah State and I work out at the Arc, and so the people that work at the front desk, they can see your name when you check in. They can see your phone number, they can see your address, like all of your information about you. So apparently this guy like found out who I was and messaged me on Facebook and was like, hey, I think I've seen you around campus. And I was like, definitely not. No one talks to me. And he was like, actually, if I'm being honest, I looked up your name, like, because I work at the Arc.
No.
And I was like, absolutely freaking not. Do not talk to me. And it turns out now that he's like the brother of one of my really close friends. So that's really disturbing. But
Okay.
apparently he's a nice guy. I'm just not talking
Bad
to him
approach,
ever.
though. Bad approach.
That is a bad approach.
It's like an incel move.
Murder.
Gosh. Sliding. Let's talk about that real quick. Sliding into DMs.
Oh, jeez.
How do you do that right? Can I get like?
You don't do it right.
No
one does it right.
Don't do it. Stay away.
I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying no one's ever done it right so far. So maybe don't attempt it. Because there probably is a right way out there.
There's gotta be a good pickup line out there somewhere. That's just like a.
Okay, actually, I lied. I actually started dating my husband because I slid into his DMs via a picture he posted of his niece after she was born. So my headphones are slipping.
And was that your intention though? You're like, oh, this is a good way to get into his DMs.
Honestly, no. There's a whole lot of history there, but I have been dating a guy who had left on his mission, and I was like not gonna date anybody. I was not planning on that whatsoever.
That's what they always say.
Yeah.
Well, so I also was about to leave on my mission, but that's a whole other story.
Okay.
But he posted a picture on a story of him holding his 1-month-old niece, and so I just replied to it. I had actually met him a few years before. We played indoor soccer together, and so we were friends on social media, but we also had been dating other people at the time. So he posted that picture though, and at that moment both of us were not attached, and I had replied and just said, oh my gosh, she's so cute, because she's darling. My niece is adorable.
She's so cute.
She's like a flaming redhead with big blue eyes. She's beautiful.
And she is the reason you've gotten married. Wow.
Yeah, but then we just started chatting, and he was like, hey, how are you? Like, what's up? And we just kind of caught up, and then we went to Chick-fil-A at University Mall for our first date. And then the rest is history.
Hell yeah. That's a good thing right there. Mm-hmm. All right. So sliding in DMs works if the female does it first.
It's like a 1 out of 100 kind of deal. So don't do it.
I think that if it's something relatable and if you know them already is when you're most likely to benefit from it.
Yeah, but if
it's
you're
just a stranger,
like some rando, unless you're like a 9 out of 10, I'm not talking to you.
Damn, at least she said it like it is. I love that, Sid. She said like you got to be high.
It's true.
Channing Tatum.
I would much rather like be approached by someone in person. Like kudos, you have big balls. Like, just come to me in person. Like, I feel like social media is kind of like,
It's made it to where people can be lazy.
Yeah,
that's fair.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, very lazy.
Okay, so getting out of the dating apps now and social media, how should a guy approach a girl?
Can I share a story of how a guy should not approach a girl?
Yeah, of course. Those are always welcome here.
I'm so glad that you said that, because
here we go.
Okay, so once upon a time, about a year ago, I started a job at this therapeutic boarding school.
Okay.
And I was a tutor, and I was working very closely with the principal, and one day she comes up to me and says, Grace, there's someone who wants to meet you.
No.
And she said, don't worry, I already told them you're married. And then I come down the hallway, and she says, this is Thomas.
So first and foremost, that's not how that went.
Got exposed.
Sure. No.
I really don't think Annette would lie to me.
Girl,
I didn't sign up for this. I don't want to listen to this.
Yeah, Sid's in the crossfire. She's about to get the worst of it.
Listen, why am I in the middle?
No. Annette was the one who initiated that whole thing. No, because especially at that time, I had a very strict rule of I do not date coworkers. And that was,
Annette knew 100%. I was married from the very beginning, so That's just all I'm gonna say about that.
That's cool. Then that's not true. Then
It's okay.
No,
Hey,
it's not
Sydney,
true.
do you have any input on how a guy should approach or not approach a girl?
Well, just recently I was in like the student center at Utah State, and this guy came up to me, and at first he was like sitting at the table across from me, and I was like, okay, like he's kind of cute. I wasn't even thinking anything of it. And then he comes over and asks me to take a picture of him like in the student center, and I was like, what the? Okay. But I was like, okay, sure. And then I took a picture of him, and he was like, hey, can I just like finish my project here? I feel like that's awesome. Like big balls.
She says that because she's still talking to him.
Yeah. But
awesome.
honestly though,
Hell
but
yeah.
like that's cool. Like that, like they come up to you because otherwise they're just hiding behind social media and like unless they meet like through friends or anything. But
You
yeah.
found a good excuse to approach a good girl, so kudos to you, Jackson.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, good job, Jackson. If you're out there, you did it good, man. Teach some classes on it.
Wife them up.
Okay. None of that sooner. No. Eventually.
One day.
Monday.
Okay.
Not today.
Okay, do we have any real stories of don'ts of how not to approach or any bad pickup lines? Have you guys ever been approached and someone actually used a bad pickup line?
I had someone say, "Are you Little Caesars? Because you're hot and I'm ready."
Ooh,
Hell yeah.
That's spicy.
Damn.
No, it's terrible.
No,
Yeah, it's atrocious. Atrocious.
Okay, that's like one of the biggest separations of girls and guys because like we're laughing at that. Like, oh damn, that's good. Man, why didn't I think of that?
But I'm remedial about that stuff. So,
Thomas
that's
was
my
like,
sense
I
of
should have
humor.
told Annette to say that to her.
Yeah, let's move on.
Hey, girl, lay off my cousin like that.
Sorry, my bad. He brings that on himself.
Hey,
For existing?
Yeah.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Just wanted to clarify.
Sid, if you want to throw a couple jabs at her for me, I'd
She
really
would
appreciate
never.
No, because she has worse things she could throw at me, so I'm good.
it.
Ooh.
Dang, I'm not gonna lie. So pickup lines, that's a no-go. Don't approach someone with a good pick, or even with just a pickup line, I should say.
They can be funny, but it's just like where you have to have like a plan after
Yeah.
that, because if a guy just approaches the chick and like gives a really good one-liner and she's like, okay, and then it's like, now what? Like,
Yeah. I
does
feel
he
like
just walk away, or
I feel
you
like
got-
if he like approaches you and like just like tries to have like a genuine conversation with you, like you're gonna want to like talk to him more, especially if you have things in common. But if he just says some cheesy pickup line, I'm just gonna be like, so today this weirdo talked to me, and then I would just tell
That's
her
when
about
she's
it, and
gonna
we
be
would call it,
FaceTiming me.
yeah, and then we would call him an idiot and be like, what a freaking stupid head. Anyways,
So, well, speaking of being an idiot, I have a story.
I thought this was about us.
No, it's okay,
Thank you,
Thomas.
sis.
I want
Always
to know
wanted
what
you
dating
guys.
advice you have, Thomas. I'm interested.
No, that's why you two are here. I'm here to give a story.
Okay.
Okay. I was 18 years old on University of Berkeley, or Berkeley University. Sorry. And we see the volleyball team, the female volleyball team.
Ooh.
And of course, being 18, actually, no, I'm sorry, I was 17. So I wasn't legal yet. But I was like, you know what, though? Like,
Why is that important?
gotta throw it in there just for clarification.
That's how I was my first year of college too, though. I was only 17, so.
So I was like, I see the girls' volleyball team, and I'm just thinking, like, you know what? I'm only gonna be like, I haven't been back since. And so I was like, I might as well just try something just to be funny. Like, I had no intent. Like, I wasn't really gonna try and grab one of them, but
Grab?
no,
Excuse you,
that was a
sir.
bad word.
Snatch 'em up.
Bad term.
Thomas,
Bad
It's
term.
Mine.
Warning. Red flag.
Back to the house. Let's go.
Man, talk about Ted Bundy. No, I just meant like I wasn't gonna try and like actually do anything. I just wanted to see if this would work. So I got my buddy's notebook and I went over and said, "Hey, I'm working on a biology project. Do you guys mind helping me out?" And they kind of looked at me. I was an idiot because I am. And they're like, "Sure." And I hit them with, do any of you guys know how much a polar bear weighs? I just got to figure this out. None of them knew what was coming. And of
I
course,
already
no.
know what's coming.
Yeah.
You can tell by how unimpressed my face is.
At the time, I was
Shots fired.
At the time, I was 17, and that was a new pickup line.
That's true.
Okay.
That was fire back in the day.
Back in the day,
Back
when
in the day,
dinosaurs
okay.
walked the
Yeah.
And so,
That belongs in the Smithsonian with the rest of them.
so like,
Jeez, we're not boomers.
and you could tell, like, some of them had their phones out, and you could tell they're about to start looking it up. And I'm like, all I found in the book is that it's enough to break the ice. And then I just said, like, my name's Thomas Wiffle. I just saw you guys, the girls volleyball team, and I knew I'd regret it if I didn't come talk to y'all. And then they actually started laughing, but nothing happened after that, really.
It
Like,
was out of pity.
Thanks, Sid.
Okay,
but you
Just
said
kidding.
that with like the intention of just to like say it and like have a funny experience to tell.
Yeah.
Like you had no intention of anything happening after.
No,
So
nothing
if
at all.
you wanted something to happen after, like if there was one specific one you thought was cute or something, and you really came up to them to say this line in order to start talking to them, then that's whenever it's like you gotta follow it up and be like, like what do you say after that? Like, okay, I broke the ice, now what?
And at 17.
Then you grab her.
No, don't, please don't.
You did that to yourself.
I can't believe this. Yeah. Gosh darn it. Anyway, let's put the attention back on all of you.
You are the ogre, though.
Yeah, I just got to find me a Fiona. Okay. So
I'm a delivery boy.
Do not point at me or I will hurt you.
okay.
She pulled out a headband today
gosh.
that she uses to like put her hair back when she washes her face, and it has the ears on it. She said, "This makes
It's
me look like
supposed to be
Fiona."
a bunny.
So you go from a bunny to an ogre.
Yeah.
All right.
I go from a girl to a boy when I take my makeup off, so
Oh, no,
what's
stop.
the difference?
I kind of want to see that now.
No.
Okay. So tell me something. What is going through a girl's head when a guy is approaching you and you know what his incentive is, like what he's going to try and do?
It depends what he looks like, honestly. That's really shallow.
so
But
shallow.
like if it's like some like musty dude, I'm like, I'm gonna run away now. But like if it's an attractive guy and you like can tell he's attractive, I'm just like, okay, come here.
Okay.
Come here. See, she didn't grab him. Just come here.
Yeah.
Come here.
This is giving them the choice.
Gosh, I'm gonna add on to that because if the guy looks creepy as all shit, like then no, I don't want to talk to him.
Yeah.
And there have been a few of those. But if he's like a normal guy and he doesn't look like he's trying to attack me or grab my door handle, that has
What?
happened.
Your door handle.
Yeah, I had a
Is
guy
that-
chase
Is that like
me
a
out of
term?
the
Is that
spirit Halloween
symbolism for
once.
something? Oh yeah, I remember
Wait,
that.
what's your door handle?
What?
And as I got in my truck, I locked it right before he grabbed my door handle because he was going to try to open it
That's
up.
aggressive.
crazy.
Wow.
I think
Man.
that was he was trying to murder you, not get you
Yeah.
to date him.
Yeah.
You know, I got to say, actually, for some reason, Utah attracts the weirdest people when
I
it
do
comes to
agree.
dating.
Especially Provo.
Because
Yeah,
everyone's
it's
the most
weird.
trusting. Because everyone's the most trusting here.
I don't know why.
The fact that I just see little kids riding their bike down the
Seriously,
road
I'm
by
like,
themselves.
if you guys can't control the ones you have, stop having
Yeah, I'm 100% down for that.
Like,
Stop having them.
weird.
Yeah,
them. I'm
get
literally gonna
sterilized.
duct tape my children to me. So
I don't get it.
Like, it's funny. I've worked for kids for like 3 years, right? And I'm now so skeptical. Before, I was retarded about it. Like, the world's like, it's an okay place for kids. But now I'm like, no.
I'm like, I'm never having children. I hate this world.
Right?
Right. No trust.
I will adopt all the dogs.
Okay. So obviously what was going through your head was get away from this guy.
Yeah, it just really it depends on like body language. It depends on like not what he looks like as in levels of attractiveness,
Yeah.
but like what he looks like as in how he's like carrying himself. If he's dressed all grungy or if he's like cleaned up. Like if a normal dude walks up to me and tries to talk to me, I'm gonna give him props and be nice. I'm gonna be like, hey. Currently, I'm gonna be like, thanks, but I'm married. And-
Currently. So give her a couple years and she'll be like, you know what? I'm getting a little bored.
Good lord.
now.
Currently,
No, you got me on the grab thing.
that was her. No, but before when I wasn't in relationships, if a guy walks up to me, I'm going to give him benefit of the doubt that he's a decent guy. But you just can't be creepy about it, and you got to like look presentable,
Like,
take care of yourself.
Don't look crusty.
So I've actually seen something going around on like I think it's Instagram or like all these TikToks of which is like girls don't really want like really hot guys, but they want ugly guys who can clean up well, something like that. It's like, I'm like, I don't know, it gives me a fighting
know,
chance, but hey, that's about it.
It does.
No, but it's funny when you said don't look crusty. Literally, growing up, my whole family was like, put lotion on, comb out your nappy hair. Just don't look ashy, all right? Don't look crusty.
Don't be ashy when you got that's a sin right there. Actually, knuckle check. Let me see them.
Elbows, knees. I put it all on.
I can tell. Eric, you keep hitting your mic,
sorry.
man.
Gosh, this is awkward.
This is why we can't have nice things.
All right.
All right, thank you. But okay, so that's so interesting. Though. So what's going through your head is like mostly about how they've carried themselves, though, right? So let's talk about a little bit about confidence. How big is confidence when someone approaches you, and like how do you define if they're confident or cocky?
Ooh,
That's very
actually
fine line.
yeah. I mean, just like the smiling and being nice, like the kid that approached Sydney in the student center, like he just had like a genuine thing to talk about. Like she told me he was like doing a project and he needed a picture taken at a certain spot on campus, and so like whether like having like a relevant, like genuine thing to talk about, or just being able to carry a normal conversation.
Yeah.
But also just like the way you hold yourself. Like, I don't know how to describe it, but all girls know.
I feel like you need to, like, spend a little bit more time with a guy to, like, really know, unless you can, like, really tell. Like, for example, I went to, like, a dinner this one time, and I was with, like, the guy who approached me in the student center, and then I was with, like, a bunch of our other friends, and his roommate actually came up, and he was, like, when he saw I was there, he, like, scooted the boys apart so he could sit right in front of me, and he was just sitting there, and then he starts talking. I was, like... the girls were talking about how they wanted to go to Lake Powell, and he was like, well, if I could go anywhere, I wouldn't go to Lake Powell. And then he was like telling us about all these trips he's been on and like all this, and I was literally like, I would shoot you with my eye lasers if I had them. Like, when they just sit there and talk about themselves constantly, you just like want to throw the biggest boulder at them, you know?
We went to middle school with a kid like that who was like constantly just like me, and it was like I did become closer friends with him, and I knew it was because he was, like, kind of insecure on the inside. But even that doesn't come off nice when you're fake cocky because you're insecure. Like, nobody just wants you to sit there and talk about yourself and be like, oh, yeah, this is what I'm like, and look at my muscles. And, like...
Hey, what's wrong with muscles? No.
Thomas, that was for you. That was a tip for you.
I can tell.
Go get your notebook.
Write on your little notepad.
You're the only one here showing off their guns. So don't come at me about it. There you go. Oh, wow. Okay. And so that's something, too, that you mentioned, like the insecurities, because those will seep through.
Oh, yeah. And it's fine to have insecurities. It's actually kind of adorable when a guy's, like, self-conscious about something and he can be honest and open about it. Like Brock's really self-conscious about, like, his teeth. And I think his smile looks fantastic. But it's something that's like, oh, like, I love that about you. Even if you don't love it about yourself. And that's something that you build a relationship off of, is seeing people's insecurities and flaws and being able to, like, love them for it anyway, or look past it if it's a big thing, or help them work on it if it's something they need to change. Like, that's something that you'll take into the relationship, and it's important later on.
Yeah, I feel like if a guy is confident, he's gonna help you to, like, build and, like, do better with your insecurities, but if he's cocky, he's just gonna, like, bring you down with his cockiness. So,
yeah.
For sure.
And so is that a little bit of what you ran into with your guy?
Yes.
There were so many things I ran into.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, she would have ran into
Yeah.
something.
Okay, so
I would have ran over him, actually.
just so everyone knows, we
Maybe.
cut out some time just for Sid to talk.
Yeah.
If she wants to use this platform right now, go ahead.
She just needs to vent.
Yeah. I don't even know what to say about him.
No, it was just, like, very...
Toxic.
Well, yeah, but besides
Well, in the
that,
beginning, it wasn't. It's like...
like, he was literally, like, everything I'd ever wanted in a guy, and then, like, as soon as he knew that he had me and there was a ring on my finger, he was like, I gave up. And he even told me that. Yeah.
Wait,
and
so
then,
he was that open about it? Just
He
like,
admitted
yeah.
it? Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Wow.
he said he gave up, and then I was like, okay, and then he, like, brought up the fact that so I gave him my ring back, and he was like, and just
That's
to
so
prove,
nice of
no,
you.
and he goes, and just to prove that I was trying, I kept the ring. I was like, what?
To
What?
clarify, he broke off the engagement because he got cold feet or
Yeah.
whatever, and then they still dated for like a month or two
Well,
afterwards
we tried.
to try to work it out.
I dated. He did not.
He
did
just
not try.
claimed he wasn't
quit.
ready to
Yeah.
get married.
Anyways, and so
That's
then
weird.
he turns around and was like, "Now I can't even sell it for full price." I was like, "I'm so sorry. I wasted your money. Like, I'm so sorry."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
That right there, that's so...
Wait,
I
where's
can't
he-
believe
Where's he
that.
from?
Logan.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Those people out there.
You know, I got to throw it out there. Like, I get it. You know, Mormon dudes, man, there's a big struggle because they'll come back from their mission and then they think like no matter what, like they're untouchable because they served this mission. They think they're on top of cloud nine, and then they think they can treat people however they want because they went and did this great thing. It's like, no, you were supposed to do that. The
Right.
rest of your life, you still have to live by that.
Well, it's hard
And treat
because
people.
like I've met so many people like that, and then there's some that aren't like that, and there's some that are just like humble and they just like did what they did for themselves and not to like prove it to other people.
Yeah,
But-
well, there's always like exceptions, and you can't like generalize and say, "Oh, all return missionaries
Yeah.
are like that."
No,
The
yeah.
majority of return missionaries are horny boys, and I will say that I have met more non-return missionaries or guys who aren't even members of the church and guys who didn't choose to serve, who I like better, are more respectful and more like sociable and easy to get along with than return missionaries.
It's hard because I feel like, especially in my last relationship, like there gets to be a point where they feel like they deserve something from girls
Yeah.
because they haven't like had it, and so they just like push you even more than they obviously should. And so I think that's why they get like the stereotype of being the horniest people on the earth.
Well, 2 years.
Well, I think too, and I know I'm talking
There are
about
other things they can do to curb that. Though.
like go to the gym.
Yes.
Yeah.
Take out that.
Ride your bikes.
Ride your bikes.
Yes.
Get rid of that angst.
Yeah.
Don't take it out on me. I don't want it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Start thinking with the
No
brain.
one really wants
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I feel actually really bad for like the single girls around you who have to deal with that. Because one thing too, and I know this sounds really bad, I'm attacking a demographic of Utah, but when you do get the rich white boys here who have never been told no in their life, like then obviously you run into those issues. They don't know how to take no.
Yeah. I dated a guy very briefly for like 3 months at the end of my senior year where he like, I don't know if he had never been told no, but he had never been in a relationship. And it was just like constantly like push. I want to do this. And I was like, no, like, I don't want to do that with you. I don't want you to touch me. I don't want you to do that. Like, I like you and I want a relationship, but you're being really gross. And it just ended up really badly because he would just push. And then something ended up happening where it freaked him out because he realized he had done something terrible and he was planning on leaving on a mission and then he hit it and ended up on his mission and then came home and was like, yeah, I ended up coming home because we did all that stuff. I was like, hold up, you did that stuff. You did that stuff. That's on you. And I just think there's like this real lack of like accountability when it comes to guys in Utah. Maybe it's everywhere.
Maybe
I
it's
don't
just
know.
guys in general.
But they just like, they don't realize how hard they push sometimes. And like
no means no.
No means no. And I know that's like a really big thing right now in the world. Like the my body, my choice, like don't touch someone without consent. Like that's a really big thing that people are talking about. But I think that it's a good thing because it's important. And a lot of the guys that, like, I know we grew up around because we went to the same middle school and high school. And so our friend groups were all the same and we shared the same, like, peers. Mm-hmm. And all the guys that we dated that we have horror stories about are because they would, like, push for something and they wouldn't take no for an answer. And then it was just, like, made you uncomfortable. It made you feel unsafe. It made you feel insecure. It made you feel like all they wanted you for was your body or, like, there was nothing else you had to offer past that. And then, or like you owed it to them. And it's sickening.
And
it's gross.
actually, if you don't mind me asking, if you guys are willing to open up about it a little bit, I don't think many people, or especially guys who are like that, who push a lot, how does that affect you? Like, 'cause you kind of talked about it gives you insecurities. Mm-hmm. In what way? Because I feel like that's very general, says insecurities. But in how does that actually hurt you and affect you? Because maybe this will bring life to that. Sorry.
Honestly, it like kind of makes you just hate yourself because you're like, I said no and you kept pushing me and then I did this awful thing because you made me do this awful thing. Mm-hmm. And like, I know like no one can make you do anything, but like at the same time, like they can. Like there's multiple things that they could like do against you, whatever the situation is. That when no is just not like when they won't take no, they'll just push you towards it. And then you just feel like this guilt because you feel like maybe there's something else I could have done. And like, for example, like my ex, like he kept trying to push stuff, especially towards the end. And so like I cut off the physical completely and he kept trying to push stuff. And I was like, no means no. And so like when we did break up, I was like, when I told you no, I meant no. Like I told you not to touch me. I told you all of these things. And he was like, well, I didn't know you were being serious. And I was like,
oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fight on sight.
What do you...
The amount of times you hear that, though, is insane.
Like, yeah, I was like, no, don't touch me. Get off of me. Like, those weren't enough for you to... Like, me leaving your house wasn't enough for you to see that I was being serious.
Yeah.
Like, when I say no, I'm not kidding around.
No,
like,
stop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yeah, and I know that, like, she shared with me afterwards that it was, like, she cut it all off and she was, like, firm in that. But even then, it was, like, it all was over and this relationship was in shambles. And she was even like... well, what if I had done that stuff? Would he have stuck around and would things have been better if I had just let him do that stuff? And it's like, that sounds terrible when you say it out loud, but those feelings are real. And I've had those feelings too about exes. Like, oh, if I had just let them do whatever they wanted and gone along with it and pushed like my discomfort aside, would I have ended up being okay with it? And would I have ended up being comfortable with it?
That's the thing though. Like, that's not love. And that's what like boys and girls, I guess, both need to understand is like, if someone's pushing you to do something that makes you uncomfortable, then they don't love you.
Oh, wow. That was deep stuff. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So I guess let's go over some do's and don'ts, though. When someone's going to approach a girl, what should they do? Or what should they not do also? So
they should smile.
Yeah.
Honestly, like what I was saying about like body language and stuff, like just approaching someone and being open and looking like you're a nice person, like and smiling at someone, that immediately is like, okay, they're not like creeping on me maybe they are, but that's like a level that you're crossing. You're like, okay, they smiled.
Yeah. Also,
and then being,
sorry, go ahead.
oh no, I was just going to say, and then like actually carrying on a conversation, not just walking up and awkwardly standing there, just throwing out a pickup line and then rocking back and forth, like giving them something to work with. And it goes both ways. Like the traditional, a guy should approach a girl, like it can go both ways. I'm not just saying that the guy has to come up and initiate everything. But if you approach someone that you are attracted to, whether that's a girl or a guy, then like having something to talk about or just trying to get to know them or like it's all the basics. It's all the basics, and they're basics for a reason because that's how you should do it.
Yeah, and I think along with that, like something else that's really important is like get your face out of your freaking phones. Like if you're like coming up to someone and you like pull your phone out just to check the time, whatever. But if you like walk up to someone and like your phone is in your hand, like you were walking up to them with your face in your phone, that is such a turn off. Like I don't want to talk to you.
That's weird too.
Yeah. Like I've been in relationships where they were addicted to their phones and it literally just like makes you feel like crap because you're like, it's obvious where their priorities are and it's not me.
I think for some people that's almost like a security blanket. So when you feel like, oh, I don't know what to say or I don't know what to do, first thing, put your face in your phone because then you don't have to deal with that feeling.
Yeah.
You can just get lost on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. So I think maybe that's why, because they feel insecure, they're just a little scared. And so their security blanket is go and make it look like I'm doing something or just to go to.
You know, it's kind of weird now, actually. When we do these podcasts, my phone's over there. So it's kind of weird not having something in your hands.
Yeah.
That's definitely like an issue with this day and age, though, having phones in your hand. Because I agree, it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So,
It's just, it doesn't make you personable. And like, whenever you are addicted to your phone and whenever your face is in your phone all the time, you're scrolling social media, like the Instagram algorithm pisses me off because every guy's phone I've seen, whether or not it's what they actually browse, their browse page is just filled with like hot chicks, naked women, like stuff like that. And it just pisses me off because no matter how hard they try, they can't get rid of that. And it's like, and then if they actively choose to go and look at that and you're in a relationship with them and like that's a whole other conversation, but that's also an insecurity thing. Like if they're constantly on their phone, these days you have no idea what they're doing and they can hide so much stuff. Like and so unless you're like open and honest about it, then it's like that's also something where those insecurities stem from because it's like, what is he looking at? Am I not good enough? Why does he have to look at his phone? Why can't he look at me or talk to me? Like, what am I doing wrong?
So something to kind of add to that. So I actually want to disagree on something you said that about the Instagram algorithm. That can be changeable because I actually ran into that issue because I follow a lot of bodybuilders. So with that come all the fitness models. And I remember I'd look on my discovery page or whatever it's called and you're like, wow, like if I had a girlfriend right now and she looked at this, like she would think that's all I look at. So I spent time, like I made an active decision. I unfollowed all of them. And if there were ever anything on there, even if it was guys bodybuilding, just to mess up that algorithm, I wouldn't click on it. I wouldn't look at anything. And eventually, and I started putting like other stuff in there, whatever it was, even if it was poetry or pictures of just nature. And it changed the algorithm. Like that.
Okay,
I
retract my statement. Not impossible, but it's difficult because you're like you said, you have to actively choose to go do that,
and you have to stop from falling back into those habits that bring that stuff on.
Yeah, exactly. So, because like people can, I get that people want to like show off their bodies and like bodybuilding is one thing.
Yeah, for real.
I look at bodybuilding stuff and that stuff does pop up on my page, but like it's just choosing not to whenever there's someone else in your life who isn't comfortable with that, or because I know some couples are totally comfortable and they don't care what the other person looks at, who they talk to, and that works for them and that's fine. But having a relationship, you need to be open and honest about what kind of things you're comfortable with in that area. And if like someone's really insecure, or like if they go through a phase where they're insecure and they're honest about that and say like, hey, I'm struggling with like body image right now, I'm struggling with how I look or my weight, like the other person being conscious of that and being aware of what they look at and the things that they're listening to and like talking about and the things they're looking at can be a huge help, or it can hurt them even more. Because like if I'm going through a phase where I'm like, I feel terrible about myself, and then I see my significant other like scrolling through his phone looking at Instagram models, it's like, okay, so that's what he wants to look at and that's not me. So it just makes you feel terrible. So being aware of like what's on your phone and how that affects your significant other or someone you're trying to have a relationship with is important, because otherwise they feel like trash and you don't want to be with someone who you feel like trash.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's fair. But bringing up something too, so that's the female point of view, which I've never thought about before too. And obviously, how careful guys should really be when looking at their phones or even just looking at other women as they're walking by. Have you guys ever ran into that though? Where have you, and I'm not just in any of your previous relationships, have you caught your significant other looking at someone else? Like you could tell, not just like a quick glancing over, but you mean like a dang, that kind of stare.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I assume that's the same feeling then.
Yeah, it just makes you feel sick to your stomach.
Like there's just like your heart just like drops to your butt and you just feel like, oh, I'm not good enough.
Or like, I worked so hard to get ready for this date, and yet she's the one he's staring at and not me.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So if I'm going to play devil's advocate a little bit though, because I know what people will say, which is like, well, we can't always control where our eyes go. Of course, we're going to naturally look, all this other stuff. I mean, what is your best advice to a guy to like stop from doing that or control it? Because it's for some guys, they just want to be like, well, we're just going to look wherever, we're attracted. Anyway, they'll come up with excuses. I guess what is something that they can do to help make you feel more comfortable too? Because obviously, like people are going to look around. They're going to see other beautiful people. What's something that a guy can do to help you feel more beautiful, but also more confident that he picks you?
I think that being open and honest about it is important because, like, something that me and Brock have talked about is, like, we acknowledge that we are not the only two attractive people to each other in the whole world. Like, that I think whenever people look at it, like, couples look at each other and they're like, oh, you're so beautiful. Everyone else is so ugly. Like, that's unrealistic. Not everyone else is ugly.
I like beautiful.
There's a lot.
I'm glad you said that. I'm happy.
Yeah, it's unrealistic, but we can acknowledge, like, how we put it is we can acknowledge that there's other beautiful and handsome and attractive people in the world, but that doesn't mean that we have to feel attracted to them or we have to act on any feeling of attraction that there is, and just being realistic about it. And like, if we walk by a girl who's wearing a short skirt in public and Brock happens to glance that way, like knowing that we've talked about that, my brain isn't going to automatically go to, oh, he's checking out her butt. Like,
so you already set the standard.
Yeah. And so just being honest, and then also your partner giving you that confidence and that assurance whenever, like, just in your relationship, and letting you know that they care about you and that they think that you're beautiful or handsome or that they appreciate things about you, then you know that you're not insecure with how they see you. And so you can be confident in their feelings towards you.
Right. I think that reassurance that person picks you. Right. Because again, like you guys probably have stared at other hot dudes who walk by, even when you were with a significant other for a second. But it's always good just to remind that other person that you pick them as well.
Yeah.
I like that. So I guess one little piece of advice I'm going to throw out there, because I heard this when I was young, and this actually helped me out a lot, is to imagine, especially for dudes. Also, I got to come from a dude point of view. I'm not going to try and educate the women here. That ain't my place. But for the dudes, because we've talked a lot about today, when you run into those douchebags, something that helped me out, someone posted this quote on Facebook a long time ago, which was, so take the person you are now and imagining a guy who's just like you. And that guy is trying to date your daughter. And how happy would you be with that guy pursuing her? And I remember, and there's still times today I try to think about that. I'm like, oh, I'd kick my own ass.
Thomas, no, you can't date my daughter.
Okay, Grace. No, again, don't flatter yourself. Okay, don't come at me like that. But
Eric, though.
Thank you. I think. Thank you.
Yeah, that was something that always stuck with me, and I keep in the back of my mind is remembering, like, this is someone's daughter. This is someone this is someone's world who you are going to be dealing with. And of course, you got to treat it with that kind of, I guess you would say almost sacredness to it. Yeah.
Like respect.
Absolutely. Wow. So this has been really cool. So guys, any last dating advice that you would have for people?
Don't be crusty and don't be a douche.
Them elbows. Yes.
Oh, lotion. I like it. That's right. Cocoa butter.
Cocoa butter.
Gosh.
I think that as far as dating goes, like when you're pre-relationship stage, when you're just going out on dates, like have fun and be like, I don't want to say be yourself in like the typical like cliche way, but show how you would treat situations, like act honestly in situations. Don't try to be like, oh, I'm okay with something because you're in that initial phase where you're like, oh, I want them to like me. Because if it does progress and you do get in a relationship and then you're acting totally different or the other person's acting totally different, like under stress or in a hard situation, then it's like, oh my gosh, who are you? Like, you're not the person I fell in love with. And so just being honest and like genuinely yourself in every situation so that there's no surprises when you get engaged and go through a hard time or hit a rough patch, because then you know what you can expect of the other person.
And one thing to not do too is get engaged to someone after like a month of dating.
Thank you for that.
Wait, is that actually? I don't know.
No,
It was
they
a
weren't
month
dating.
Oh, I felt so bad.
Actually, 2 months, thank you.
2 months.
It was
Yeah.
3.
You know,
but it's fine.
They're like living with such a high concentration of people who do that.
I
Like,
know.
obviously we see the successes because there's so many examples, but I feel like there's just so many more failures. And it's just better. Just learn who they are and what they're like. And
Yeah, because honestly, before we got engaged, like, we didn't ever really fight. And then afterwards, like, every single situation we ran into, he would just run away from me. Like, instead of making it bring us closer together, he just ran away.
Wow.
So, and I didn't know that. And, like, I could have married him. So, it's just
Thank
crazy.
goodness.
she
Thank
would
goodness
be
you
married
didn't.
right now.
To an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wait, what's his name again?
I'm not going to say
We're going to
it.
refrain from saying
Yeah.
That's
that.
all right. You can just
He
show
knows
us
who he
after.
is.
Yes.
We'll stalk him.
We will be adding him. So, just kidding.
No, okay. So I really like a lot of the advice you guys have given today, and it's something to put out there. Don't use dating apps to approach, and don't slide into DMs. Actually approach someone. Be confident. And what's your take on like eye contact when approaching someone? Like direct eye contact, or is that too intimidating?
I feel like subtle eye contact, like, you can look at them when, like, they're talking and stuff, but, like, don't just, like, stare at them. Be like, what
Give
the?
him that Ike look.
Yeah.
It's eye contact with taste. Like,
Yeah.
you gotta do it tastefully. You can't just sit there and stare at them as you're speaking,
Yeah.
because that's awkward. But also, like, make eye contact, because if you're like, oh yeah, like, it's so nice to meet you.
I have to ask, have you guys ran into someone that you're talking to them and you notice they look down at your chest?
Yes.
I don't have that problem.
At least you're honest about it. I like the honesty there.
Thank you.
If I'm gonna be honest, most of my stories from that experience have happened at Discovery Academy.
Wow. That is
Thomas,
crazy.
train your boys better. Come on.
Ooh,
Hey,
exposing.
They're
He's
adolescents.
exposing.
They're there for behavioral issues. They're learning.
It's okay. Most of them have good hearts.
Yeah.
Most of them.
Anyway, thank you for that. So definitely don't be creepy with the eye contact either.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, thank you so much for coming on to the Ogre and the Ass podcast. We really do appreciate it. We're gonna be putting your handles in our description, so if people want to find you, there you go.
I told you this will make me famous.
No,
I'll remember my roots.
No, it won't.
Don't worry.
You'll remember your roots.
Yeah.
Quick shout out.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why you moved to Oregon, because
Yeah.
your roots are here.
Oh, please.
Anyway, to all our listeners out there, thank you guys again so much for coming into the swamp, spending time with us. But like usual, stay the hell out of our swamp.